Hey, yeah, what's up? This disciple Marshall Occurrence Rain back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-telepathy all day, anti-America all day, and then everybody with him, yeah. So this video is gonna be concerning Kamala Harris. I'm not trying to pick on her. I'm glad that during the vice president debates um, that happened in October, I think it was October. Well, it was latter of last 2020. She released information about Donald Trump's slow response to COVID. That's great. I'm glad that's one good thing and great thing she did. But the American community still didn't catch on to why she was releasing that message, that information at the beginning, hitting the ground running with that information at the beginning of her debate. I give her respect for that, for releasing that information because the American community act like they're dull of hearing and dull of seeing. They don't understand that Donald Trump's slow response on COVID is why this country is flared up with COVID right now. This is why. This is why, because Donald Trump's slow response on COVID caused it to get totally out of hand. So you're dying basically at the rate that you're dying because of an intentional slow response from Donald Trump, which Vice President Kamala Harris made light of that during the vice presidential debate. So, like I said, I give her respect for doing that because that's very serious. And I mean, it's not too many things more serious than the fact that he had an intentional slow response. However you want to put it, nothing still, and nothing more, whether it was intentional or non-intentional, that's one of the most, he had a slow response to COVID. It's one of the most serious things right now at the top of the list to look at. Okay? Okay? So, so she has her head on right, looking around and everything like that. But the thing that I'm looking at is how she used to be a prosecutor. Okay? My thing is, how come you being in law, literally, being a prosecutor, enforcing the law in the courts, bringing people to justice, how can you not look at, how can you not focus on or begin to change or talk about changing 40 states allowing adults to have sex with children? 40 states now. You're the vice president. You used to be a prosecutor. You have some would say, a passion for justice, for law and order, for things to go proper. So I know that you know, this is part of who you are. And I know also that you have had cases concerning children. So I know you don't play no games. I know you haven't in the past concerning cases concerning children. So I'm sure that when you got into office, I'm sure you looked around at a lot of laws that maybe you may have not looked at before. And you being a prosecutor and helping children, I'm sure that you probably looked at 40 states allows adults to have sex with children. And also, you being a native of California, I would think that you would also look at that there's no minimum age that an adult can marry a human being in the state of California. In the state of California, a human being, an adult can marry as low as their perverted desires would take them. Now, you now being second to the highest seat in this country, I would think that you would be working on this. I would think that now we passed the first 100 days and all that. I would think that that would be on the top of the list for you to do. Not Joe Biden necessarily. I'm talking about you. He has his job. I mean, this would be nice. This would be great for you to do. I would think that you would have a passion to do this. A genuine, sincere passion to do this. I am pretty sure that you know these laws. Some would not respect you if you didn't know these laws. You're a president. And you used to be a prosecutor. And you don't know that 40 states allows adults to have sex with children, and you don't know in California there is no minimum age for an adult to marry a human being. Okay, I believe you do know it. I believe you do know it, and I don't think anybody would want to hurt you for changing it. It's one thing to say, well, I got to use wisdom in what I wouldn't say it, but for people that are scared, I got to use wisdom in what I pursue to change in America. I don't think those are one of those things that you have to worry about being harmed in any form of fashion, trying to change. In fact, I think people will rally behind you for changing the ages of consent. They will understand you having a background in being a prosecutor. You are a person that's passionate about justice. I'm trying my best to understand why this isn't a highlight of the things you want to change. Being a prosecutor, and obviously having cases concerning children. This you would think would be something near and dear to your heart. Yet, I have not seen any highlighted operations, highlighted visions or goals to change this. You're a vice president. You hold weight now. What else are you going to what else are you going to pursue to make better? And like I said, you used to be a prosecutor. You would think one of the first things is you want to change the age of consent. That's all. It seemed like some would say it would be like second nature for you to just hop on that. But yet, there is no outward sign of this. I'm not saying you agree with it. I'm saying there is no operation that has been highlighted to us, to me, to the world. I wonder if you know about America holding the youngest age of consent in the world. America holds the lowest age of consent for sex in the world. There's no other country, there's no other information, there's no hidden town and city and place that has the age of consent, that has the record for the lowest age of consent in the country, in the world records in modern history. America holds the lowest age for consent for sex in modern history records. So in other words, not trying to be funny at all, if the age of consent was in the Guinness Books of World Records, The age of consent is America has the lowest age concerning that record in all of modern recorded history. Did you know that? Being at 7 years old in the state of Delaware back in 1880. And also the majority of the country then at that time was 10 years old and 12 years old all around the country. With the state of Delaware being the lowest at 7 years old. And like I said, that's a record worldwide in modern recorded history. Okay? So I'm trying to understand how you I would want to see how you would respond to that, knowing this information, because I think a lot of people think, as far as the lowest age for the age of consent, the lowest age for consent for sex, people, I think a lot of people would think that it's somewhere over east, somewhere far east, somewhere. No, the lowest age of all time, by law, by put into law, was America. 7 years old, the state of Delaware, 1880. Okay? Nobody beats that. There's no other country, not Russia, not China, not Nigeria, not the Philippines. None of them. They did not have, as far as what I see, in law at any time in their history, the age of consent as low as 7 years old. What does a grown man have to do with a 7-year-old girl? A grown man, not two children messing around. A grown man. What does he have to do with a 7-year-old girl? This the government put into law here in America. That right there alone should provoke everyone to jack up the age of consent to 18 in 50 states. That alone, the history alone, having the record for the lowest age of consent worldwide. And yet everybody said we're the superpower. So this isn't a matter of disrespect. This is a matter of real change and the real truth. That's what this is about. And that's all these, leaders should be doing. I mean, what did we put you in there for? We put you in there to change things, to make things progress in the right direction. And as far as American values, there's nothing more at the top of that list than their children. So this should be on your to-do list. 40 states allowing adults to have sex with children, changing that should be on the top of your to-do list, based on the values of the community that you serve and your own values, being a prosecutor, a former prosecutor. And considering your own state that has no minimum age for marriage. And like I always say in my videos, who people mad at, me or themselves? Who you mad at, me or yourself? Because it doesn't matter what my motives are. This is the truth. This is the truth. It don't matter what my motives are. It does not matter. This is facts that should make you not think about me. You should be thinking about this, what I'm telling you. You shouldn't be thinking about nothing else. 40 states allowing adults to have sex with children. Us having the lowest age for consent for sex in the whole world, in modern day records worldwide. That right there should concern you. Because I know a lot of people are looking for other countries, like I said, like the Philippines, Nigeria, even China. They think this is what most Americans think about where that's going on. Where it's this hidden prostitution underworld, and they have these low and you know, they may exist, but you can't compare what's put into law with what men are doing illegally all across the world, because it's the first thing people think about. What's going on illegally? What's going on that no one knows about? This is let's talk about what's going on in front of everybody. As far as children, the age of consent low as America has the record. America has the record. Let's talk about that. But see, when people talk about this, what I'm talking about, that's what they think about, this underworld. I ain't talking about that. I ain't talking about some underworld. I'm talking about what men have put into law. And America is at the top of the list for the lowest age of consent for sex, man. 7 years old. So you can't look to these countries that have these underground sex rings or whatever. You can't look at them. You can't use Russia in this situation, or use China in this situation for a reference point. No, no, no. You can't use no individuals for a reference point. Nobody. America stands alone, allowing adults to have sex, fully grown adults to have sex with 7-year-old children. They stand alone. You could put up the worst serial pedophile in history against that, and it won't stick. It won't stick. 7 years old, they put it into law. Mrs. Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, you know the process of laws being put into action. You know how much it takes for authorizations to go through, clearances to go through, sealings, signings of papers, and all of that for one law. Imagine men sitting down, fully grown men sitting down, going through the process of putting 40 states allowing adults to have sex with children into law. 40 states. How I talk in my videos about this. Human beings are either an adult or a child. There's no in between ages. There's either adults. There is either adults or children. So how can some lawmaker sit down and go through the process of paperwork and sealings and authorizations of allowing adults to have sex with children in 40 states? How has this been allowed by all these presidents and all these people that's been in leadership? How all this time? How has it been in position? How has this stayed in position all this time? How come this has not been prioritized? How come? All these presidents come and go. Donald Trump obviously wasn't concerned about it. You know, him being the most relevant as far as the former. And so it boggles my mind how people can the FBI, the CIA, and the likes of authorities can go out and witch hunt people and investigate people, sometimes being innocent, but have no passion to change 40 states allowing adults to have sex with children, having no passion for that. After having had a history of having, and still the record of the lowest age of consent for sex at 7 years old in the state of Delaware. I don't understand how FBI, CIA, and the likes of authorities don't have a passion to put it up to 18 when they would, if they knew that we have the record for having the lowest age of consent for sex in the world. Presidents have come and gone. This has not changed. This has been going, these laws have been there for decades. These laws have been there for decades, which obviously tells us many presidents have come and gone and have not tried. Who's to change? They have. If they tried, they were not successful. And you would think that they would understand that nobody would be in their way. They would receive no opposition. Not significant enough. And yet, I mean, who's going to stand in the way of making the age of consent for sex at 18? Who's going to stand in the way for making that 50 states? Who would dare stand in the way of making the age of consent for sex at 18? Who would stand in the way? I mean, children can wait. If it's the child, if it's the adult, they can wait. I don't agree with somebody looking down and saying I'm gonna wait anyway. But adults can wait and children can wait. Okay? 2 years is not a long time to wait. The age of consent is either 16 or 17 in 40 states in this country. That's 2 years. They can't wait that. Because the reason why to bump this up, President Harris, is because not only the age, the children are not financially stable enough to be having children. They have nothing in compatibility, as far as compatibility with adults, most adults that would want to, they are engaging with. So they're nothing but a sex object. And like I said, they're not able to take care of a child. And they could get STDs and ruin their life. So their life can basically be thrown away because of the age of consent. In 40 states, allowing them to have sex with adults. All their hopes and dreams, everything. With one act of sex. HIV, or child, both at one time. All their dreams dashed to the ground. Trying to understand why nobody sees it this way. I'm trying to understand that. It's not far-fetched information. I didn't have to do a 007 James Bond mission to get this information. This information is right there for everyone to see. I didn't have to infiltrate any bunkers to get this information. The information is public. It's not private information. And yet, no one has either been outraged by the American community, and no one in the government has been successful, if they tried to change it, with changing it, you know? So I'm trying to understand what's really going on here. You know what I mean? You know, I just expect for you know, what I think of, you know, what prompted this video really is the fact that you have a background in being a prosecutor. It's that hard. It makes me want to make this video asking, you know, why we haven't heard about this being on the top of your list.